Welcome back to Into the Chatterverse, where two gents share their 2 cents on pop media. I am Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Bill. I think I drank the haterade.
You got a big cup of it over there.
Yeah.
And you're drinking it out of a Taylor Swift Eras Tour cup, too. That's what makes that so good.
Pictures or it didn't happen?
I'll find a picture.
Oh, you will not.
Watch. I'm going to catch you slipping. It's going to happen. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, we kind of hinted at it last episode, and we decided we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. We're going to talk about The Crow. And here's first and foremost, most people will probably have an understanding of The Crow as a movie only.
Yeah. Not
realizing that it is a deep, dark, very emotional comic book done by my friend James O'Barr, who
apparently his friends call him Jim.
They do, but I was trying to give his government actual official name so people know what to look for.
I've never met him, and I knew that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I knew people that met him. So.
Yeah. Jim David, actually, if you really want to get into it.
I don't.
Don't call him Jim David. He doesn't like that. But no. So when did you first become aware of The Crow as a property? Was it the comics or the movie?
I'd heard of the comics.
Okay.
Just before the movie came out.
Got you. I had seen pictures of The Crow in Early Wizard and Hero Illustrated magazine, but I never read it. Wouldn't have been my cup of tea at the time, so I'm glad I didn't read it because it would have right over my head.
Right.
Far more emotional. But I heard more about it, obviously, with the movie and its association with Brandon Lee. But I didn't watch it when that movie came out because I call myself a Brandon Lee fan.
It's fair.
And what makes it really bad is to say that, looking back at it right now, is well, what was I a fan of? Rapid Fire? Yes. Showdown in Little Tokyo? Not so much, but whatever. But it was really obviously the connection to his dad.
Yeah.
That's
right. He
wisely used that pseudo nepotism.
Well, I don't know that he may have been pushed in that direction. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was him.
Okay.
But probably the people with him were like,
listen, do this.
This is and his maybe his mom even said, hey, you know what, your dad probably would want you to do that.
Go for it.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. But so Rapid Fire, I enjoyed that movie. I mean, Powers Booth, how do you not like him? What is the guy who is the henchman in all martial arts movies in the 80s?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I can't think of his name either. But he's in it, and so this movie is clearly wonderful because he's in it, and that's what matters. So that would have been my main impetus for wanting to see The Crow, was Brandon Lee being in it.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, tragedy strikes on set.
Yeah.
And changes everything for me. I don't want to watch this movie. In fact, I don't watch this movie until 2020 COVID year. It was on streaming somewhere, and I finally was like, I have no reason not to watch it. Let me watch it. But that was my actual I knew James first before I ever actually watched this movie. We never talked about it. He definitely has a sensitive spot in talking about the movie and the tragedy that happened. Doesn't like to dwell on that whatsoever.
I don't blame him.
That's an awful situation.
Yeah, this is my creation and someone died.
Yeah. And clearly had nothing to do with it.
Oh, right, but Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
So I always felt a little bad friendish because I had never read the book because it just wasn't my cup of tea at the time. And it wasn't until after I met him that I got a copy. And so I have read it. It is super sad.
Shocker.
I know. And again, I can definitely say that in my early days of superhero comics was really my life. I would not have appreciated what this book was. So glad that I didn't, or that I took the time to read it when I did. You saw the movie when it came out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. What did you think?
I thought that the only reason people went to see it was they wanted to see where he died.
That's a deep one.
It's a poorly acted movie.
Okay.
But Brandon Lee was not a great actor.
Fair.
There wasn't anything about it that really spoke to me.
Right.
I think it was there for Stone Temple Pilots.
I mean, the soundtrack slaps. It does slap. It does slap.
And that's the thing I remember the most about it.
Yeah.
It was And I've had this conversation with other people, and I just like it was the soundtrack more than anything.
Okay.
And I just felt that Spawn was a better version of that, but it was also in the that leaned more into me because of the quote unquote superhero element of it.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I actually like the Spawn movie because it feels like a comic book.
It does.
It's not a great movie,
Right.
but it feels like a comic book. I also like the animated one, even though it doesn't have great animation. It's an interesting story.
Very.
I remember reading the first few issues of Spawn,
Right.
wondering where this writing was when Spider-Man came out. And I liked it.
Yeah.
And, and I enjoy McFarlane's artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I always look for the spider on Amazing Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the Crow, it just never did anything for me. And then it was a black and white comic, and I was
Right. Not what you're.
The only black and white comic I ever really liked was The Tick. And I laughed hysterically.
Not even the Turtles?
I said Tick.
Okay, all right, you did.
I've never read the Turtles. Nothing about it. Someone told me the other day they were reading Daredevil. I go, so does it make you feel like you wanted to go read Teenage Mutant Turtles? And,
And they're like,
no.
Why would it make you like?
Then they understood the reference.
Okay, good.
But they're like, no. I'm like, I don't blame you.
That's fair. No, I can definitely see the similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely there without question.
Yeah. And probably Spawn steals heavily from the Crow.
A little bit.
But I think they all steal from each other at some point in time. So.
Yeah. Which just kind of becomes a great language.
I mean, Superman basically steals from the Bible.
Yes, he does. He's Moses, for anyone that didn't know. Like, just make it plain. He's Moses. Did you see any of the other Crow movies?
I know I saw one other one, and I can't even remember it.
I have not seen any of the other ones. I do know that Mark DeCostos is in one of them.
Yeah.
Either 2 or 3. I can't remember which one. But, again, this is one of those things where, because I like a martial artist from another movie, I would be willing to watch it, but it has nothing to do with my interest in watching that movie.
And that's whatever gets you there.
Okay.
Once again, it's not whether or not movies are good; it's whether or not they entertain you.
That's fair.
That's fair. If you are a cinema person,
right,
and that's what entertains you, then that's what entertains you. If you are a popcorn person and you think that Dolph Lundgren is the best actor in the world, it's escapism.
Yeah. I mean, he's got some good quotables.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if he dies.
I was actually going to go Universal Soldier and lift up the ears like, hello?
But, if you want to have the discussion on it, and I'll give my opinion on certain things. But also, I don't poo-poo, unless I have a strong opinion about something. I don't really... Right. If someone told me that episode 1 was better than the rest of the Star Wars movies,
you'd feel a certain kind of way and have to express that. I get that. I do.
I'm like, I could tell you 4 other Star Wars movies
that are way better,
that are in the saga that are better, and one is a remake of episode 4.
Oh, that's fair. I can definitely see how personal tastes can allow for someone to enjoy something and be entertained by something, and that's very different than it being good. But there's something I think that's very interesting about The Crow as a property that keeps popping back up. Like, clearly they made this movie in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. It had multiple sequels that, even going straight to video, had multiple sequels.
Yes.
So somebody saw some value in it. We've had at least one, we'll say, failed reboot with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
How far did that even get?
I don't think it went into production.
Okay.
I think it was in pre-production.
Right.
They signed him.
Yeah.
But I don't think it ever
got
any further than that.
I think it's interesting too because that's about the time period that I met James when we were on the Wizard World tour, mm-hmm. and Momoa was one of the regular guests as well, and so I think that kind of maybe like bridged a gap of sorts. I'm not saying that Wizard World is who brought them together, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can see that kind of being like an it in flavor kind of moment. But right now, what's very interesting to me is seeing people respond to the Bill Skarsgård version of The Crow, and people are very mad about it. You've watched the trailer, yes?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's violent.
Yes, which I think is a key piece of what The Crow is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I've seen people complain visually of what he looks like, and I'm curious as to why they are so keen on what he looked like in previous iterations with a more, we'll say, comic book superhero-esque sort of presentation with the makeup versus what he's looking like in this one.
Well, so I'm curious as to whether or not that's supposed to be makeup.
In terms of the previous ones?
The way he looks.
Okay.
Like even in the comic book, I don't know.
Right.
Is he supposed to look that way without? Is he doing that
like,
to him? If he put the makeup on himself?
Right.
Now, if that's the argument, okay. You know, if that's something you care about,
right. What are you watching this for? Like literally, what's the point? Yeah.
I mean, why?
Yeah.
Why are you just don't have anything to do with it?
Well, to me, and we kind of talked about this, I think, off camera a bit. Part of the reason why I see the value in the more modernized iteration is we've seen it replicated outside of the Crow's franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestler Sting has a look that is very similar to the Crow. In fact, I won't tell the story on here. I was moderating for Ernie Hudson a couple years ago, and a fan asked how much money was paid so that Sting could use that, as though that was something that Ernie Hudson would know.
You're making my case for me that fans should not be allowed to ask questions.
Well, I mean...
Or maybe they should pay for the right to do so.
Ooh. That's an interesting
And
one.
all that money should go to me for having to listen to the question.
That's fair. That's more than fair. But yeah, so considering that, you have the Crow, you have Sting, who has very similar, visual identity.
Yep.
They wanted to move away from it and modernize it in a way that kind of speaks to today's youthful audience. Like, everyone that I saw complaining about it, 40-year-old and up. And I'm
okay. Now I understand. It's get off my lawn.
Well, and that's kind of my thing.
No, I get
like,
it. Yeah.
Is that where we are now, where you have to be that way?
Well, I think people complain about everything when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Not my Captain Marvel.
Right.
Not my Captain America. Not my Superman.
True.
My Superman doesn't kill.
This one does.
Okay.
Deal with it. And yes, he did.
Which one of your Superman? So didn't kill the Phantom Zone?
Yeah, he definitely did.
It's on the cover.
Yeah. He murdered them. Okay?
Yeah.
They're
Judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah. Like that's 1,000,000%.
Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, people with their my superhero doesn't kill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When
Indirectly,
Batman drops 10 stories onto someone, yeah, they're fine.
They walk it off.
Yeah.
They walk it off.
Have you get cut? Do you need a Band-Aid?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Oh.
No? Okay.
No.
Cool.
Let me do it again then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there is a modernization attempt here, and I think that's being overlooked in a very interesting sort of way. But I'm almost wondering if, in context of people, how we are more versed in social, emotional whatevers, that The Crow is actually a far more accessible series now than it was in the 90s. We were maybe learning how to, not be the super machismo whatever guy. And Crow was one that was literally like, hey, it's all right to cry. Like, something bad happened. It's all right to feel that and live in that place for a minute. And I think that now it's even more viable of a conversation, and that's what I think we're going to get. It's going to be super violent, without question, super violent. Bill Skarsgård's got the lock on super violent stuff. What is it, Boy Kills World?
That's doing so well.
Is that out? Oh, shame on me.
This is the first week it's out.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's not doing well.
Since you were in a different country, we'll
thank you. Whew. Oh, thank you for that pass. I needed that.
You didn't leave the continent. You just left the country.
I did leave the country, but I did not see a movie theater where I was. So not that I was looking for one, but I did not see a movie theater in Calgary.
Was it snowing?
No, it wasn't.
Worst part of Canada. Actually, Winnipeg is probably the worst part of Canada. That's not the North Pole.
Fair.
From what I've heard.
I got you.
I've only been to Toronto.
Forgive me for doing this to you, but it's Toronto, and I know this because I got corrected every time I put that extra T in there.
Actually, it's Toronto, as I would hear it from every Canadian person I'd ever talked to.
Really?
Yes.
I got everyone. They were like, "It's Toronto. You don't pronounce the second T."
I know it's Toronto.
Hard on me about it. So hard.
Yeah.
But in fact,
and the Maple Leafs have not won the Stanley Cup in forever, and stop acting like they're the best team that God ever created.
Boom, 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 boom. No, in fact, they are super uptight. They wouldn't even let me call Tim Hortons Timmy Hose in Toronto. They were like, "No, you can't say that." Calgary was like, "We say that all the time," and I'm like, "Oh, so it's just Toronto being weird?" And they're like, "Yes."
Can you say Timmy's?
Yes, you can say Timmy's. Yeah, you can say Timmy's.
Well, at least
you can say Timmy Hortons, but you can't say Timmy Ho. And I'm like,
it's okay.
Timmy Ho. Say what I want to.
Just tell them that you were from the city that brought Tim Hortons to the U.S.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, me and Dave, man, we did this.
Wendy's did it.
That's right.
Yeah, like, and then they spun him off again.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what happens. It's what happens. Will you actively go see?
Probably not. I have no interest in this.
Okay.
And the trailer doesn't do anything for me.
I got you.
And I don't know that Bill Skarsgård gets me out either.
Okay. I mean,
I know a lot of people like him.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people like all the Skarsgårds.
I mean, the Skarsgårds are very diverse actors.
Yeah.
You know, and I give them mad credit for that.
Just like not every Baldwin gets me out.
Facts. What's your least favorite Baldwin? It's between two. I already know.
It's got to be Billy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be Billy. Yeah, Steven. It could have been Steven, but no. Steven was in Usual Suspects, and he'll always get my time for that. So, yeah.
He had a great line in that, which I can't repeat.
No, you cannot. Everybody had a lot of good lines in that one, though. Okay, so we'll put a pin in The Crow. I think I will see it. If only because of Jim, I will probably go see it for sure. But I don't know if I have high expectations of this movie.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Because when's it coming out? I have no idea.
I don't know. But I do hate that people are calling him Jared Leto Joker. And yes, I get why they're doing it. I totally get why. Aesthetically, you've got the pale skin with tattoos on the face. Sure. But my issue again with that is old man get off my lawn stuff, because I think the design of Jared Leto's Joker was a modern hipster now today type character. That's what he would look like.
Yeah.
And
I had no problem with Leto's Joker.
I had no problem with him either. But
I had no problem with that. In fact, I liked Affleck as Batman, and
Same.
then Justice League came out, and
he
had a great line, but also he was not the same person.
Wasn't the same. Not at all. In the multiverse somewhere, we're getting a solo Batman movie directed by him, and I would like to go to there so I can see what it is. Because
you remember when we were there when he didn't answer the question?
Yep.
And everyone was like, he answered the question. Like,
no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he did not. He very artfully did not answer that question.
Well, I think we even turned to each other going, he didn't answer the question.
He didn't answer that at all. No, it's hilarious. Okay, quick episode, but still one I was really curious about. Getting into The Crow, I am curious as to what the soundtrack is going to be and whether or not, like, if you could rate soundtracks of Crow movies, where this one will stand. Will it be modern music where, again, my own personal old man, get off my lawn, I don't like it, bunch of mumble rap, ew, don't like that, or is it going to be something else? I don't know. I'm real curious. So we'll see. Once again, I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm getting rid of the haterade.
I'm going to take a picture of him in that cup. Watch, it's going to happen.
Sure.
Once again, this has been Into the Chatterverse. We are two gents of sharing their 2 cents on pop media, and we'll be back next time talking about something cool. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll be there.